I have to do a live stream. I've got to go. Well, welcome. Had a little fun tonight. That's a little hot. So welcome to the live stream. My name is Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. Hopefully the audio looks good. Let me know if the lips are in sync if you're online. I don't see anybody online with me yet, but welcome when you get here. I know I'm live on YouTube, and I put the list up and the items up, but I wasn't live for very long last week. And I wasn't live last Tuesday. I was actually on vacation, didn't give a lot of information about where I was going, but I said there was a chance I'd go live, and I actually went live on Monday, which is our last day in California. And I was able to go live in front of the Millennium Falcon, which was really cool. My wife was holding the phone, no tripod. I used my iPhone and my Rode Lav Plus mic, which plugs into my iPhone right in the bottom. I don't have it nearby me here. I can grab it. I think it's in the drawer if I put it back. But so I went live from Disneyland. Had to position myself so no one else was in the live, and I had a great time. My wife picked that location. She's been wanting to go back for a long time. So if you're from California, you probably get a chance to go to Anaheim all the time. And if you wanted to go, you could go to Disneyland. So we were there for 5 days, flew a day, came home a day. And so I was actually flying until about 6:30 the night of normal Tuesday Night Live. So I had to go live our last night in Disneyland. And I wanted to go there and take my live stream brain, right? My studio brain, my photography, my videography brain. I wanted to rest. I wanted to have some relaxation. So I didn't pull down a camera. I didn't take any equipment with me. I've done that with every other vacation, but I just wanted to go with my iPhone and my Rode Lav Plus mic. And I had a great time. Got lots of footage. You're going to see some of the footage tonight. But I want to talk about where we're going tonight. Again, thank you for tuning in, either live or after we're live. Let me know you're here in the chat. Say hi. I didn't ask for that, but please let me know. Sorry, we were a little bit late getting started tonight. Had some technical difficulty. It wasn't streaming right tonight. So I always do a test. We've done a live stream talking about the process of what you should do when you go live. I spend a lot of time getting ready every week just to make sure that I'm ahead of the challenges, because you never know what could happen when you're live. So I'm preparing videos because I've got some conversation tonight. And so I do see a few people in here. I see Freddie. Thanks for joining me. I see Conjoling Technologies, and I see Fast Track Ukulele, which is Monty, and know him very well. We've had a chance to spend some time face-to-face on Zoom, as well as Freddie. And both of those guys reached out to me because of the live. And I do a free 1-hour consult with anybody who's trying to do a YouTube channel or asking questions or need help. We also have live Q&A every Tuesday, except for last Tuesday. So welcome. I also see Bill's on here, and David popped in. Thank you for joining me. We are going to have some Q&A tonight. I will give you a shout out. Let me tell you where I'm going so you guys can have a kind of a plan tonight. You saw the still. You may have saw me and Ratso. I had Ratso on the channel a while back because people were asking me to bring out Ratso. I don't do ventriloquism anymore. Well, I did it for the channel. I made my hand talk. So that was on a couple weeks ago live, or maybe 3 weeks ago live. But I want to talk about why I do live streaming. And because that's the question I was asking myself, getting ready to do live Monday from Anaheim, California, Disneyland in the Galaxy's Edge, kind of that new area that Disney has, which was really fun for me. I'm an old Star Wars fan. I'll try not to geek out tonight, but a lot of the footage that I have for you tonight to talk about our conversation about why live stream also does a set, and I have the red look tonight. I didn't put anything red on my TV. I didn't want to violate any copyright laws, but I should have had some footage back there of the the red part of that trilogy, or actually more than a trilogy. There's 9 movies plus so many other things with Star Wars. But one of the new rides at Disneyland Galaxy's Edge is Rise of the Resistance, and it's very hard to get on. You actually had to use a queue and get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's if you were registered for that park, because we were doing hopper passes so we could do California Adventure. I wanted to jump over there and see the new stuff going over there with the Avengers area, which was really cool. But I'm much more of a geek when it comes to Star Wars than I am Avengers, because I grew up when I was 14 years old. I saw the first Star Wars movie. That dates me. So I've been here for all of the movies and drugged my wife to Jedi in Spokane. We waited in line for, I think, 2.5, 3 hours to get in that movie the week it opened. So again, that Resistance ride is very difficult to get on. You got to get in a queue, and literally you have to have your phone, all other apps off, and you've got to get ready to join the queue right at 7 a.m. So that means you're going to get up early, which you probably do when you go down there to go to the parks. But anyway, so I wanted to go in that ride. I heard really good things about it. Also, I wanted to get on the Millennial Falcon ride as well. And because I'm a huge Chewbacca, Harrison Ford, Millennial Falcon fan. And so, I've probably watched the movies too many times and I'm not interested in really watching them anymore. But being in that Galaxy's Edge area was pretty incredible. So I have a clip for that here in a few minutes. We'll look at that. And then I want to talk about sight and sound. Sight, like background design, set design, and sound. Does it really make a difference? Because in reality, if you're going to be live, you have to be in a set, right? You have to have lights, you got to have audio, you've got to have cameras, and you can do that with a face cam from Elgato, which I have right here. Let's see, I think that's ready to go in channel 3. So it's shooting right down at my Rodecaster Pro tonight. I want to say a couple things about it. So the face cam's on the Rodecaster Pro. You could use just that. It's a USB camera that plugs into your Mac or your PC, and you can use it with the Facecam app. And it's a great tool. It doesn't have any focus, so you just have to have it within 1 foot to 3 feet from what you want to shoot. And right now, it's about a foot away from my Rodecaster Pro. So my Rodecaster Pro is barely in that focal plane to get it close enough to fill the frame. So you could use something like that, or you could use a camera. But the background matters, and so I changed it to red. And so we've talked about lights, and I have the MC lights over that shoulder, and there's also one right here sitting on my table, which is my other set in here. And then when we first opened the studio, there was no curtains back there. There was no shears on the window. There was just the corrugated blackout shade, because this was a man cave and we watched movies in here, and I wanted to be able to black out the windows. I've since then tinted the windows. It's dark out now, but I can actually open the window during the day now because I've done tinting on it so it doesn't blow out my lights, because these Elgato key lights only get so bright. And so if they can't get brighter than the window, then my camera pretty well will not look good. So I have to have better light on my face than I do on the background back there. So, and the brighter my face gets, the more the background drops. So when you are talking about set design or designing where you're going to sit, lots of things matter. And I want to talk about that a little bit tonight. We want to talk about some things I saw when I was at Disneyland that really impressed me. And so I want to show some footage of that. And then I want to talk about again, why YouTube, and then who's the HyperDeck for. I've been getting a lot of people reaching out to me either through email, through my website, or comments on my HyperDeck series, which is the new series that's out, and video number 4 will come out in the next couple days. I've done all the prep work. I'm going to be shooting that tomorrow. But video 1, 2, and 3 are already out in the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus series, which is the new HyperDeck. And I've been getting people asking me, a lot of people who use Pro Presenter and are using a Mac or using a PC, and they want to get lower thirds and they want to do videos, and they're asking questions about is the HyperDeck the right tool for them? So I want to talk a little bit about that tonight. So we're going to get on that again. Why do YouTube? Because that was the question on my mind. Sets, do they matter? Sound, do they matter? And then we're going to talk about who the HyperDeck's for tonight. Should be about an hour and a half tonight if all works out well. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate every single one of you. And I hope this is a Tuesday learning experience for you. And if you're watching this recorded, I hope it's a learning experience for you. I think my hard drive, I had to, I'm dumping some files off it, so I'm not recording. So if one of you guys shouts out and say, I'm not recording ISOs, I'm not. So whatever YouTube has right now is all we have. I am going to plug that in and start recording here once those files dump. But again, I had a little hiccup tonight, so we started a little bit late. And again, I apologize for that if you're just jumping on. So let me look down here. If you have any questions right off the bat, first of all, if you saw last week's live in front of the Millennial Falcon, I think it was like 3 minutes and 32 seconds. If you saw that live, either live or recorded, give me a shout out. What were your thoughts of seeing me actually in that beautiful set? And we'll talk about that here in a minute, because for me, it was pretty cool being out of this room and in another location. And we'll talk about that as well. So where is Ratso? Ratso's actually, this is one of the questions already tonight. Ratso's not here. He's been here before. I promised you guys a few weeks ago, I'm going to get him out and I'm going to do a little practicing, work on his voice. His voice is a very raspy voice in the back of my throat. And it takes me actually working on that, or I will ruin my voice in the middle of a live stream. I really need to change that. You guys have never heard his voice, but when you are a ventriloquist, which is what I am still, and when you do puppets, you're trying to animate a character. It's no different than setting up a background or setting up a light. You're trying to not only have that character have character, right, in his look and his appearance, and then you have to be able to control him if it's a marionette. If it's just a hand puppet and you're hiding behind something and you're operating just a single arm, or if you are a ventriloquist where that puppet's going to be out with you, now you've got to be able to talk without moving your lips. When you're talking for the puppet, people will call throwing at your voice. You're literally just talking without moving your lips. The puppet's lips are moving, so your eyes go there. And then if I'm looking at the puppet and I do my job right, then everything draws your attention there, and the voice matters. And I'm a firm believer that not just voice, but having music with puppets or music in a channel. That's why I have intro music and I have a track that I play. All of that stuff is to draw you in and let you know it's my channel or our channel, however you want to look at it, because it's very much a community of people. So Ratso's not here. But we will have him in a future live stream, and I'll make sure everybody knows. Just so you know, if I put a shot of Ratso in my still image and I say nothing about him being here, just understand that he probably won't be here. But I love that shot because in reality, Ratso is my ultra personality, right? He's the crazy street rat that got his act together, traveled all over the country as his backstory in a box, has stickers from all those different locations. And we met and linked up, and he has a way about him that's quite unique, and he will ask the hard questions. And that's why that picture was perfect, because it was the question, why do you do this? And that's why do you live stream? So that's where I'm going to start tonight. Again, shout out to all of you guys who are here. I think I've said hi to everybody. Conjoined Technologies, Quick Tech, David's here. Good to see you, David. Great videos on David's channel. Again, great videos on all these channels. Those of you that have channels, some of you haven't started channels yet. I know you've said that. But if you want to learn how to play a ukulele, we've got a very, 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 very qualified ukulele playing here. Monty Stewart is in the house. And anyway, so Bill, good to have you. It's just good to be together. So let's talk just a little bit about that question that Ratso asked me. We'll put it on him. Why live stream? Why do this? Why stop in the middle of a vacation. And literally, my wife and I sat down at a table at lunch that day. I talked about what I wanted to accomplish with that live stream. I did not want to be off the air, even vacation, because I felt like we could paint a picture, which we did, right? Me in front of the Millennial Falcon live. And it's a part of my passion we're going to talk about here in a second. But we had the conversation, where to do it, how to do it. I needed her to hold the camera. We talked about how long she felt like she could hold the camera. I didn't bring a light stand with me or a tripod. I just had my iPhone and my Rode Lav Plus, which is a lapel mic that plugs in to the bottom of the Lav. You have to have the adapter when you have the new Lightning port. If it's an older iPhone or iPod Touch, and you have the 1/8 inch jack, then you can just plug it directly in. It's TRRS, which is 3 little lines on the end of the jack, not TRS, which is just stereo. So, you know, that microphone is very compact, was able to get in my suitcase and go with me. And also my iPhone was going to go with me. I'd never streamed live remote to this channel. So when I tried to schedule the live, I had to keep it open, because you have to schedule your first live, or you have to kind of go live, and then 24 hours, if you have a big enough channel, you can then schedule live streams. So I had some issues there. It kept defaulting back to like 1969. It was crazy. So anyway, if you saw me there live, please give me a shout out that you did, or if you saw that video. If not, please go back and watch it. So we had the conversation. We picked the location. We were in both parks that day, so I didn't know if I should do it someplace else, but we just discussed it. I felt pretty passionate about being in front of the Millennial Falcon. The challenge there is a line goes behind it into the ride, and there's people all around it, and then characters come out. In fact, right before we went live, within probably 8 minutes of the 4 o'clock hour there in Anaheim, California, Chewbacca came out, and which is great to see Chewie. That was I had the still image. I think you saw that, and that was pretty cool. And luckily they went back in, because people come up and get right by the fence, and that's where I was standing. Now I was kind of away from the main area where everybody stands. I was kind of to the side, because I wanted to cut out all the audience behind me. And so where we picked was Millennial Falcon, pretty much. And then my body was covering on the side of the frame anybody that might pop in. And I think we pretty well accomplished that in that video. You might see a very, 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 very small face for a second. So even in the clips tonight, I had to use the Gaussian blur in Adobe Premiere to blur out people so that I could show you all these clips. But live streaming remote, in my opinion, is one of the reasons why I like live streaming. And I was asking myself at Disneyland, right, why I don't do it more. Obviously, I have the cameras in here, and it's all set up. And I think it's really, in reality, it's kind of being lazy. Obviously, you'd have to live stream from your phone or take something remote. And Aaron Parecki on his channel has talked about a lot of ways to do that. There's a lot of people that remote in different locations, and there's ways of doing that. All the time that I've ever gone live away from a studio or away from my place of business, I've always done it from my phone. A lot of the lives I did were on Facebook for my former business. Occasionally I would go live on their YouTube channel. I'm featured still on their YouTube channel. I haven't worked there for over 2 years, but my videos are still all over that channel. And just reach out to me if you'd like to look at some of those videos. And I learned a lot during that period of time going live. And I kind of, when I went live and started going live here, I just kind of focused on studio, right? I have all these tools. I can play videos and I can do all that, but I also know I have apps on my phone that will let me play videos in the middle of a live stream from my phone. So the Rode Lav Plus mic gives me a little bit better control of my voice, getting the microphone right here. That helps cut out some of the background sound, but even one of the comments was of that live stream last week on Monday from the Millennial Falcon Disneyland Galaxy's Edge was the audio could have been a bit better. And yeah, it can be, because I'm using a Shure SM7B in the studio, pretty much cut back all the background noise. I have a limiter on here, So when I stop talking, that squeezes off any noise in the background. I've replaced the fan in my older HyperDeck, so I don't have that noise. And unless my laptop is really working like it was transferring files a few minutes ago, that fan doesn't kick on because I really just use it to look at the health of the stream. And I use my iPad to see the chat when I'm not using MixFX, and I'm not using MixFX tonight because something's going on with my ATEM Extreme ISO, and it's not connecting, and it wasn't wanting to stream very healthy earlier. My buffer was filling up, but you can see now I'm doing completely fine, and I'm streaming at pretty high, over 9 megs, and I have 41 up, tested it. So something was wrong. I just rebooted the ATEM, reconnected, and things seem to be working good. So I just want to see if you guys have, has anybody streamed remotely? Have you streamed from your phone remotely, either on Facebook or on Twitch or on YouTube? And what's your experience with live streaming? So I'd love to hear your comments tonight. And if you have any questions about that live stream that I did last week, again, I would have been on longer. I had more to say, but my wife was giving me the look. We thought we could go 5 minutes, so we advertised that. But at about 2 minutes and 45 seconds, you could see that she was giving me the holding my arms, and she had to hold the phone in a certain spot to keep me in frame. So I was asking her to be a tripod, and she was so gracious to do that. So what happens for me when you do a remote is that, and there's an audience, right? There's people all around you, kind of takes your game to another level. I mean, if you've ever done anything live with a guest, like I've had, only on my channel, I've had Adam Tao on a number of times. I've been on his channel one time with Tony, who's here tonight from Quick Tech Solutions. And so, you know, that's different when you're asking questions, you're interviewing someone, you have more things to be concerned about in the studio. But there's something about live with people around. And I had people watching me. People walked up within a few feet to hear what I was saying. And technically, someone could have probably still walked behind me that works for Disneyland in that Galaxy Edge if another character had come out. And I picked 4 o'clock because I scouted it out the day before, and it looked like they were not having people come out during that hour, or I would have had it a different time on Monday night than I normally do on Tuesday. So any comments so far? I'm not done talking about this. I want to share a couple things about what I felt in front of that particular set, and we'll talk more about that when we talk about set. So the reason I live stream is because I love it. I like the action. I like the challenge. I like what I'm learning in the studio. I like the interaction. I would much rather have someone with me live than, you know, like this, where you tune in and you can be in the chat, but we can't necessarily have a real conversation. I like having conversations with people. I love the interaction with people. I love what you learn about people. I love what you learn about yourself. And I love to be able to not have to talk the whole live stream. That's why I have video clips tonight. That gives me a break and gives you a break to just kind of see the behind the scenes. So before I show you this clip, which is all about the ride at the Millennium Falcon and the Galaxy's Edge, and we take you on just part of that walk in and the ride and the atmosphere and all that. Any comments or questions right now about live streaming from Disneyland? Hi, Bill from Chicago. Thanks, David. The lighting looks great. I appreciate that. I answered the where's Radso. Falcon was cool. Thank you so much. Can we just say hello to Radso? He's in a case in another part of the house. So no, not tonight, but I get it. I get it. You guys are making me want to hang out with Radso more. Now quit it. Cool. Tony saw the Millennial Falcon, and is Radso on a date? No, he's just chilling in his case, man. He only comes out when I get him out, and he probably has some things to say about that. And Rodecaster says, I've streamed with ATEM Mini Pro in a remote location using my phone. That's cool. So you can tether that's what's cool about the ATEMs now. You can tether them right through the USB-C and use your phone as a mobile hotspot. So that's really cool. I haven't tested that yet. I really want to. I want to take my ATEM Pro into the other part of the house, stream to my streaming bridge into my Extreme, and then Extreme out into the world. And I would do that by having my phone tethered to the ATEM Mini Pro. Phone has internet access, not the best idea because it's always fluctuations, but I've done it twice on Facebook. Well, thanks for sharing that, Rhoda. Thanks for joining us tonight as well. It's great to have someone fresh, a new face. It's also good to see the rest of your faces. Some of you have your pictures there, so it takes less imagination. Thank you. Tony loves Ratso. Yeah, so that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I have seen the new AI. I was going to order one today and saw it's not in yet. So I was actually going to order two. The AI is a new way to take like the lav mics I have or my Rode lav mic. There's also the other lav mic that came out to go with the Rode Go. And then now there's the Rode Wireless Go 2, which has even more features. So you can have two wireless mics with one receiver. I am very familiar with Rode products. I am a Rode product fan because I believe that before anybody else was really helping us really go live and do podcasting, I felt like Rode was jumping in there. So to have that Lav Plus mic a couple years back, and then before that they had the regular Lav, it didn't have the greatest audio, so they upgraded it. And then now the wireless goes, then they came out with the white. Now they have the wireless Go 2. They have a free app for podcasting. And the reason you would buy two of the, and Bill brought it up, two of the AI micros is that you can do with their free app on your Mac or on your PC, you can do up to 4 guests. And it's very similar, guys, like having a Rodecaster Pro. I can do 4 guests on my Rodecaster Pro on microphones. I can also bring in a call-in guest. I can actually bring 2 call-in guests, one plug tethered into my iPhone, and then there's another Bluetooth channel that I could bring in another guest. I could bring a guest from my PC through it, or I could bring him in through another iPhone, Bluetoothing it into my Rodecaster Pro. So I could have 6 people in the Rodecaster Pro, but I think for people that don't want to spend the kind of money on a Rodecaster Pro, and if you don't know what a Rodecaster Pro is, that's the Rodecaster Pro, and I'm glad you brought this up because that was one of the things we're going to talk about at the end of the show tonight. But thanks for asking. I'm going to order probably 2 of them. My wife has a Lav Plus mic. I have one. I had her get one so that she can plug in her phone, and there's an app called the Reporter app. And then there's another app, I forget what it is right now, but if you guys know what it is, put it in the comments tonight. So those apps work great. I did one voice thing at Disneyland and used my lav mic into my phone. My wife was shooting me on her phone very far away. I don't have that clip tonight. I'm going to use it in another live stream coming up. But I was actually in a set that they had there, and we're going to talk about that again down the road. I wanted to kind of stick with the Galaxy's Edge theme tonight and not throw a California Adventure Avengers area at you tonight because it just doesn't blend. But I was in a set. I needed good audio on my lapel mic because I was way far away from my wife, and she was shooting video. It didn't turn out that great because the iPhone actually focused on this TV that had just a hole in it. And then there was a set behind it. And if you've ever been to that place in California Adventure in Disneyland, you'll see this set. And it's just outside of where you go into the Avengers area. And there's a set there you can sit down. And it's still Avengers area. It's right outside their big store because they have a place there for you to sit on a set from WandaVision, which is a new Avengers series that's available on streaming, and it was quite fascinating. So I sat down on this couch and had Shannon shoot some video, and I did kind of an intro, and we'll show you that when I intro some Spider-Man and other clips to be disclosed down the road. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Does the red behind you mean you are a Sith? No, it just means that was the whole theme there. When you go through the new ride, Rise of the Resistance, again, which is really hard to get into. So you're being recruited. You actually get caught. You end up on a Star Destroyer. They try to get information out of you. They're trying to get you to turn. And so, no, I am not a Sith. I'm a Luke Skywalker fan. You think that through. Anyway, so, nope. Let the Force be with you. Anyway, that's a great, funny. So back to our conversation about live streaming. So having the ability now, you can live stream tethered to your phone with an ATEM Mini Pro Iso, also the Extreme ISO. We'll see what they do. I think, and I'm not sure, but I think the new web presenter can also tether that way. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that. I don't have one. But that's really cool. So you could take your ATEM Mini Pro as a mobile unit, like I have one. I'm using it for a number of inputs. You already saw one of those. My PC comes in through it. I also have my overhead camera. I got to turn it on because it's a Canon 5D Mark III. Times out after 3 minutes, but I can cut to that. So if I cut to camera 3, you can see my Rodecaster Pro, which is my face cam coming from my PC. But I can also cut to camera 3, which is a shot down at my desk. You can see that's live. And I have a number of other inputs that come into that particular unit. That's my ATEM Mini Pro. So it's upstream from my ATEM Extreme ISO, and then I'm streaming from my Extreme ISO. My files are done now. So I can take my scan disk. This is a 550 megabyte a second. Samsung now has 1,000 millibytes a second versions of this. They're a little bit more expensive. I think a 1 terabyte, this is a 1 terabyte, costs about $115 now. The newer ones are like 137, I think I saw this week, but they're 1,000 megabytes a second. And that's really cool because if you're going to edit on them and you put any 4K files on it, not from your Extreme ISO or your ATEMs, but if you were going to use this and want to edit a job on it, it's going to be nice to have even faster speeds. So I can plug this in live right now, and then I can hit record, and you're going to watch this thing start recording, I think. Hit record. It says I'm recording. We'll see. Right? Stop recording. Record. Okay. It's now recording. It should have gone red and it didn't, so I hit stop. And again, my ATEM's being finicky. I don't know. Maybe I got it too hot in here today when I was editing video. So more comments coming in. Keith, you're going to jump on the NDI wave now that NDI bridge has been released. I don't know. I just really don't know. But again, there's so many now things that are changing directions, right? You got NDI. Yeah. So I may, Tony, I may. Yeah. And then there's apps. We won't talk about tonight, but maybe in the future live stream. There's apps where you can get like 2 or 3 items that you have, right? And use all of it. So if you had like an account for your iPad and also a cell account for your iPhone, you can combine those. I forget what that app is called, but if one signal gets weak, it uses the other signal. So you have those devices. You have mobile modems, obviously, that would be like one account like your phone is. Obviously, if you're in a 5G area, that's fast enough for you to stream at the lower resolutions. But I don't a lot, and a lot of my videos that ended up on YouTube are 360p. I'm not a fan at 360p, so I would want at least, high definition. 720p might be okay if you're just looking on an iPhone or a smaller iPad Mini, but when you start seeing someone's video on a big screen TV, even HD right now is not the greatest on a 4K TV like I have behind me as well in my house. So what's going on here? Why are you stopping? Yes, I am talking to my TV. So again, we'll see, Tony, what I end up doing. And I'll check out the NDI bridge. Haven't really, guys, to be honest with you, completely dived into that yet. So I've been actually doing a lot of research on gimbals. I'm working with a local church, and they asked my input on switching to all Blackmagic cameras. They have 3 cameras right now. They're using up to 5. 2 of them aren't Blackmagic. And so we are doing research right now, looking at options for them to get a mobile rig. So chime in if you want. And then the right gimbal. And then dealing with batteries, dealing with how long they have to shoot. And this is the camera that's behind the drum set and shoots the back of the stage crew. And so it also is an audience camera. So it's got to be pretty functional. And we don't want latency, huge latency, all the way back to where they are switching. And that's the issue they have right now with a camera that they have. They have a camcorder, a traditional camcorder that they're using, tethered. And it's really hard for them to sync everything up because Blackmagic cameras, and they have a Panasonic camera. It doesn't have the same colors as the Blackmagic camera. So obviously they're trying to get everything the same. And they bought a whole kit from a church that updated. So that's how they got everything. And they even have a 8K constellation. So, and they're only streaming at HD. So again, because of my streaming experience and some of my experience with the software and my history with this guy who's in charge of all of this, he was my son's drummer years and years and years and years ago. Back in the prior to my recording studio days. And so we have a history. And so he trusts me and is asking my advice, and we have another meeting tomorrow. So live streaming is cool. So why don't you try to go remote from your phone if you have a channel, even if it's just in the backyard. But let's talk about this now. Let's make a little transition. I want to show you this video. I should have a macro here that will switch over to this. Let's see, what did I call that? Let's just take a ride on the Millennium Falcon. And I want you to think about this from the perspective of Disney and trying to set a mood, because we're going to transition from this video and talk about set and sound. And so let's just go on this ride together, and hopefully there's no copyright violations here. So let's roll this clip. And yes, that's my wife.
Today's flight takes you to the planet Corellia. You will be intercepting a first-order train shipment of coax.
Sit over here. Get your seatbelts on for me, please. Seatbelts on.
Flight engineers, repair test. Hit your flashing button. There it is. After that train. Flight engineers, fire the harpoon. Shoot the cargo free. And fire the brakes. Oh! Well, my friends, that could have been much worse. Okay, it's much worse. Yes, you.
Sounds like there's a vacancy. Here's your chance, squad leader.
There you go. Behind the scenes, Millennium Falcon, the ride, follow my wife down that hallway. Talk about ambiance. Talk about sound. Now outside, right, the Millennium Falcon, they don't play a lot of music out there. I don't know why. But I'm telling you what, you get into Galaxy's Edge and it just absorbs you. If you've watched any of the movies, even if you've just tuned in to what's new right now streaming from the Star Wars universe, right? So you got The Mandalorian, you got Boba Fett coming, you got Baby Yoda. Lots of people have been drawn into that universe. But if you want the experience of set design, right, knowing what it's like to be in a set, there's a moment where I walked into that scene where Chewie played C-3PO, whatever that was, on that table, that chess table. And I remember that from the first movie. And then later Luke takes a lightsaber from Obi-Wan the very first time in that same room, has that flash helmet on, and he's fighting that little mobile drone. Coolest moment for us young teenagers, right? But the mood and the atmosphere, and I mean, I wanted to stop in the hallways and just enjoy it. And I did. My wife saw me taking pictures, video, because all the way into that ride. So you walk into this universe, and not only is there like a shopping area, there's a place you can go in and build a lightsaber. And it's like $250 for a lightsaber and a bag. You can go in and build a droid. You have the stormtroopers there. There's other people that walk out. I didn't see a lot of the things that I saw online, but I did see Chewbacca a couple times. It was just crazy. So set design for me and being able to be live in that set was phenomenal. It was just incredible to be able to enjoy that feeling and then walk into that ride. So if you've been there, right, if you've been to Galaxy Edge, please give me a shout out and let me know. And if you have any thoughts on just what you saw, you get in that hallway and it feels like you're in the Millennium Falcon, even though you're not in the Millennium Falcon that Chewbacca was standing there by. I still have that clip up. It's frozen. So this shot right there, oh, it's going to start over again. Sorry about that, guys. So, but yeah, at the end of that clip, I got that shot of Chewie, and you know, that Millennium Falcon is really cool. I'd love to go. I don't know if you can go inside there. I don't know what it's like inside. I didn't have an opportunity to do that, but you feel like you're inside the Millennium Falcon. In reality, you're up in the mountains behind you, but just the setting and the mountains are tall. I really believe that set design is important. Now, we're not shooting movies, and if you do any research, you'll know that in The Mandalorian, they're actually using giant 8K screens, and the people that do the design for the backgrounds and do the graphics, they actually are on the set. So if there's any changes to do with lighting, they can change the background. So rather than doing all of that 3D animation after they shoot on green screens, they're actually doing it before the takes. So they have live sets and lighting, and then they have these giant screens. So imagine, they got to keep the light off these screens. So everything's done in the round, and it's really incredible. If you get a chance to do some research, watch the behind the scenes of how they shot The Mandalorian. So there's a lot more people who are going to go away from green screens and go to these giant 8K screens because of the cost of LED and OLEDs are coming down in price. And I'm sure the technology that they're using is just way beyond what you would experience with a TV in your house, but it's pretty cool. So for me to stand in front of the Millennial Falcon, I got to tell you, I was like giddy like a kid. It just was really cool. It was, and I watched other people. I'm a people watcher. I like to watch them in my layover in Seattle. I like to watch them when I was waiting for my plane in LA. I really thoroughly enjoy watching people, but I'm telling you what, watching people walk into the Galaxy's Edge universe for the very first time, and watching people respond to Chewbacca coming out, watching people respond to the stormtroopers that are literally talking to them. I guess they have voice modules where they can talk. And so they're literally calling people out of the audience. You there with that video device. I forget what they call it, but it's crazy. So I have footage, and you just saw footage of stormtroopers actually interacting with the live audience. So to be immersed in that environment and then do live. So let's take this out of Galaxy's Edge and let's talk a little bit about set design. Why is it important? What really happens when you're in a set, when you add sound, right? When we're in a studio right now and there's no sound, just my voice. I'm not playing a video. I'm not doing an intro, right? So you don't have an intro track. I could turn that track on right now and bring it up in my Rodecaster Pro. And you guys have heard that music before. But what happens when you immerse people in the environment where there's voices behind you? One of the things I really loved about doing live events at events is the hustle and bustle, the voices behind you. So you're talking over all these conversations, and that in itself creates that feeling of an audience. It's why a lot of venues now have microphones turned on the people in the audience so you can hear the applause. They cut cameras to people in the audience, especially if it's like the Grammy Awards or something like that. Even in sitcoms where they were doing live audiences, there was times where you would see behind the scenes stuff and they would cut to the live audience. And then if you look at a talk show, right? A lot of the talk shows have audience cameras, or they go into the audience. One of my favorite moments was Brad Pitt was in an Ellen DeGeneres audience. She didn't know. He's hiding in the audience, and she's doing her monologue, and she looks out and she sees Brad Pitt in the audience, and she's a big fan, evidently, and she really likes Brad. I mean, the idea of getting that environment and getting the emotions going. So I want you to do the same thing that I did, or I want to ask you, appeal to you, and think about how you can take your setup, right? And you can take people to another level. I even thought about how cool it would be. Now, I could do a green screen and take some of the still images I have, and I could put myself in one of those moments. But it's not like going and sitting down in that set. And so I just been thinking in my head about what the opportunities are with live streaming and a YouTube channel to immerse people a little bit more. Now, if you go to Aaron Precky's channel, he has a couple desks. If you go to Tony's channel, he's been in his house when he was remodeling it. He's gone to locations and done some videos from there. Some of my videos, I've actually done locations and I cut that in. Live is a little bit different when you go places. Aaron Precky did live from a bicycle on a bike ride, you know, so in a smoky day, he did one. So go to his channel and watch those videos. But I'm just talking about the impact that immersing yourself in those moments. And so I want to roll another clip, and I want you just to think about that as I reminisce and talk about some of the moments that I felt inside this adventure that I had on my vacation, and how it really kind of messed with my live streaming Tuesday brain of what I could do maybe to take this to another level. And Again, I know some of you go, just bring Ratso, and that would too. That takes it to another level because it brings another character in the room. But even more than that, set design and sound could be something that we could see starting to happen in channels in the future more than we are seeing it now. So let me see where that clip is. Called Sets and Sounds. Let's roll that clip. I have no idea where I'm at. It looks like something out of space. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this behind the scenes look at Disneyland and some pretty cool adventures. So enjoy this video. Chewie's not posing right now. He's too busy eating bugs. There's a speeder. It seems like everywhere you go in here is an experience. Check this out. More ambiance. Getting ready to eat here. My meat's on the spit. Ninety 90% of this experience is the ambiance here at Disneyland, so check this out.
That's right. You. Wait right there. You again. Didn't we warn you to stay clear of this sector? It's my first time. Then I'm curious why you're here. Are you trying to get arrested? Soon. The First Order thank you for your loyalty. On your way.
He made an appearance. It says clip, but I held that to the very end. So, wow, I saw this comment. Timothy Knight, your father was an Imagineer. 2 thumbs up. Love what they do. Watch the videos on the Disney Plus channel. Wish they would do more of how these incredible sets are made all the way into the rides. I'm telling you, it is an experience, and a shout out to your father. Double thumbs up. Very, very, very cool. My dog just looked around when Chewy growled. It's hilarious. So blurring the background is a technique that you can do in Adobe Premiere. I don't know about Final Cut. I haven't used it in a number of years. But if you go into the effects and you search for blur, you'll get a bunch of, depending on if you have plugins and things like that, you're going to get a bunch of options. One of them is Gaussian blur. Don't have a clue how to spell it. That's not my cup of tea. But when you have Gaussian blur open in the effects, and maybe one of these nights we'll actually do a demo, you open it up, you can either draw an outline of what you want to hide, and then you can go frame by frame and move that around and blur out the background, and you can change the opacity of the blur. You can change the edges, have them fade out, fade in, or make them sharp edges. There's an automatic play button now that they've added to Adobe Premiere, I think 2020, or maybe it was 2019. And it should follow a face. If you're just blurring out a face, I was doing a lot more than one face. I was doing a number of faces. So I literally was going frame by frame. So that video that you saw where I had to do a lot of Gaussian blur took a long time. I probably have, I don't know, an hour into just editing one of those clips for you guys tonight. It keeps me fresh, keeps me editing video. So if I don't have a lot of project, I'll add a little bit more to my plate in a live stream. You guys benefit. I get a chance to practice my technique. So maybe one of these nights we'll talk about Adobe Premiere and Final Cut and all the other tools that you have, and techniques on how to do that. Because in reality, you see it all the time when other people are broadcasting and they need to blur a face out. They may have a higher end piece of software that follows a face, but the Gaussian blur technique is pretty well what most people are using inside Adobe Premiere. And then you just literally have to go frame by frame, and hopefully eventually those faces aren't in the frame. And if you with a little bit more prep, you can do that. So back to the video. I wanted to give a shout out to the Imagineer and that comment. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about that feeling that I had. Everywhere I went, I wanted to do a new intro. I did 5 different intros to the behind the scenes at Galaxy's Edge in that area. First of all, I didn't want to have faces in my shots, so I saved myself some time, but I kept finding a new place and a new place and a new place, and it was pretty incredible. So some of it had no sound, but it had ambiance, right? It had that mood. A restaurant that has the lights down, like an Italian restaurant that has the music playing. I mean, come on. Every one of us responds to that. In fact, my wife says, and I quote, life should have a soundtrack. Because if you watch a movie, it's got a soundtrack. We know. We can recognize a movie and call it out by the soundtrack or by the opening theme. Hopefully my music for my channel is so recognizable for some of you that you could call it out. That's Life Journey Productions. That's Keith's channel. Actually, my channel's named Keith Bennett because I just took another YouTube channel that I had and I just turned it into Life Journey Productions Studios live streaming page and my YouTube channel. So again, shout out to those of you that join me every week and listen to this rhetoric. But I hope this is interesting to you because I really believe sight and sound makes a difference. It immerses us. And I don't know how that's going to apply in my world. Like Ratso, obviously I know, like having my son Bryson on the channel helped grow my channel. Having him do his NZXT computer unboxing has helped my channel immensely, and lots of people subscribe because of that. There's some pressure to continue doing some PC-oriented live streaming for gamers on my channel, and so I feel that pressure all the time because they subscribed, and you want to give them information. And you want to give them something on the channel as well. So those are things that you have to consider. But I hope that you will shout out if you think sight and sound or set design and sound makes a difference, then give me a shout out here in the comments. And if you have a question about any of that, let's talk. I do want to make sure we cover the HyperDeck tonight. Who's it for? Who is it not for? Something I'm only going to touch on in my series. I don't really want to. I'm showing people how to use it. If they're going to get one or they want to learn if they should get one, they can see all the things it does and how to do it. I'm not going to really have this conversation I will probably put this in the playlist with a timestamp eventually. But anyway, so we want to talk about that, but I don't want to get away from this trip and the impact that it had, because it really did light a fire under me. And it made it a little harder for me to get ready for this live stream this week, because I felt like I was competing with being in front of the Millennium Falcon. And if I could have had Chewbacca over my shoulder and join me in my live stream, I would have. And I almost asked how long was he going to be here when I was getting ready to do the 4 o'clock live. I was hoping that his time out there posing would cross over my live stream so that I could have him stop and wave at you guys, but it didn't work out that way. So live streaming is something that can get dry and get boring for you if you don't change it up. And that's why I've got the lights different tonight. And I'm using a different hair light. I've got my TV going here, and it's got little stars playing in the background. So again, lights, cameras, the video footage, sound design, set design. I mean, I have this monitor here for some depth. I have the other monitor for some depth. I have the lights here and the lights back there, all for depth, because again, I want you guys to feel like you're a part of a room. It would not look that great if I was pushed up against the wall. And I've tuned into some guys I know personally that stream with the wall right behind them, and you can see the shadow around them, or too close to a green screen, and you can see that green cast on their head. In fact, when I did the green screen here, and you can go back and watch that live, I had to get it back far enough. I didn't want any green spill on me, so I got the green screen as far as I can get it, and it doesn't fit this way. I had to put it sideways because it's from my garage set, and it's really wide. I think it's like 9.5 feet wide, and in this room I have shelves and stuff, so I couldn't get, there's no place where I can get the full distance and have that hanging down. So I literally had to have it sideways behind me. So set design is really important. I think my set's going to change up. I use this also for my wife's podcast, so we changed it last year. May change it up before her new season, which launches here. I think we're shooting next week for her new season right here. We usually do it on the table, but I don't want that to be dry and boring. And we change the decorations. We bring in Christmas stuff during Christmas holiday. During fall, we'll do fall stuff from fall colors to whatever. And during the different season, we do some lives as well. And I have another place I can shoot in my house where we started the podcast, actually at my dining room table, which was a great set. And it had depth because you could see out the window behind them. And it was pretty cool. So set design, sound design, your thoughts, your comments, your questions about that. And then we'll move on to who the HyperDeck's for. So let me go back here and just make sure I haven't missed anything. Bill's stream from the YOLO box, and there's the new YOLO Box Pro. That's a great tool, by the way. Aaron Parecki seems to be focusing on it right now, and he's done some live streams from it. They fixed some things in the YOLO Box Pro. It's not inexpensive, but for what it does, if you haven't checked that out, take a look at that. It might be the perfect tool if you want to be mobile. It's probably a better tool than taking an ATEM mobile, unless you need the 4 inputs. I think with the new YOLO Box Pro, you still only get, I think it's 3 inputs now and a USB microphone. But again, I don't know the YOLO box that well. No, this is not Ratso's toothpaste. I actually have eczema. Apologize for telling you all these details. This is cortisone cream, and I had it in here earlier today, and I didn't put it anywhere. So this is not Ratso toothpaste, but thanks for asking. Also on my desk, I was hoping you guys would ask me about, I have a BSW catalog. If you don't know about these guys, they do a lot of stuff that has to do with radio, but they have some really good things. Like they have packages on the Rodecaster Pro. You can order microphones from them. Sometimes if you can't find something at B&H or at Sweetwater or on Amazon, you might find it with these guys. And so I just wanted to bring this out. I get these catalogs. I love looking through them. And I also like to stay up on what the radio side of things are doing. So I have that here. This is actually notes from one of our comment nights one of our biggest nights we had live streaming, and I asked people what kind of cameras that they were using, and I wanted to just give a shout out to a lot of guys that answered that. Josh Ash had a Canon 7D Mark II, a Canon R6, a Sony A7 III, a Sony ZV-1, and he's from Australia, and I thought that was incredible. That's some really cool gear. Bill said he had the HuddleCam 4K, streaming 1080p, and that was in the comments that night, and I really didn't talk about all these answers. Bill said you had a Canon 90D and a Canon 80D. Those are great cameras. Again, I think I just said Kevin Crawley had the Sony ZV-E10. Craig had Amaron lights, and a Mocacy looked pretty good, affordable. I don't know anything about that. I need to look into that. So anyway, I just thought this was cool. I printed out these comments because I wanted to go back to this. So I don't know what you're using for live streaming. If you've ever, if you have a Rode Lav Plus, or if you have the Wireless Go, or the Wireless Go 2, what you're using for remote live streaming. We already heard about the one ATEM Pro going out live. Are you using wireless microphones? I have a Sekonic wireless microphone kit here. I should probably open up on the set. I did a review for it here on the channel, so you can check that out. I love that. I have their upgraded microphones, the Deity microphones. No, Sekonic is my Deity wireless kit. My Sekonic is actually my light meter. Old age is setting in. But I have this microphone upgrade. These are the Lav Pros, and that way I'm not using the kit microphone Lav mics. So these are very high quality. I should bring these on a live show and let you guys listen to them some night. But I have 2 of those and 2 wireless microphones. That's my wireless kit. And it's a receiver that receives 2 microphones, just like the Wireless Go 2. So I already have kind of a kit that's a lot more expensive than the Wireless Go 2. I think you can get into it under $300, and that's a great value for 2 lapel microphones. You may want to add a wireless microphone to it, but it does have a built-in microphone. And the new wind protectors, right? The dead cats, whatever you want to call them, stop low-frequency wind from getting through. They snap on now. They don't come off as easy as the Wireless Go originally did. And so those are great microphones. So what are you using if you do live stream remotely? And I don't even know if, Tony, I don't remember if you said what you used when you went remote, but I'd love to hear what you were using. If you were using your phone, or if you took a camera with you, I'd love to hear what you guys do remotely, because I rarely, unless I'm producing a video, take out my cameras from my studio. I usually use my iPhone. And I plan on upgrading my iPhone in January, because that's when my contract is up, and a new iPad probably at the same time too. So those have even better quality cameras, and you can now get bokeh in video on the new phones. And if you don't know what bokeh is, that's the depth of field being lost, where it all is milky and you focus just on the subject, which obviously if you're trying to suck people in, you want to use an aperture that blurs the background. I want you to see the depth. So I usually am at 5.6 here. Sometimes I'll go a little more than that, but usually 5.6, because again, the lights, then I start losing the light that I get from my Elgato key lights. Okay, let's shift gears, see if there's any other comments here I need to address. Imagineers, we talked about that. Thank you for thanking me for the clips. I want to add that kind of variety to the show, live stream. Serious question about ventriloquism. When you did this full time, did you ever have conversations with multiple characters? Yeah, believe it or not. I don't know now how that would work, but my young mind, I could keep a conversation going on with 2 characters. And people ask why. I probably should teach ventriloquism, because it's quite an art. Just like I think videography is an art, live streaming is an art, and also set design, lighting, all of those things that you're going to bring to the table if you're going to do this. It's artistic. There's no question about it. But when you develop the character, right, and that character, has personality, has history, you know their history, you know how they normally react when you're animating them, right? Their expressions, all of that stuff. you practice behind the scenes. So when you bring two of them out, the hardest part is making sure that you change the voice, right? And that you stay engaged, because now you're trying to have a conversation with two characters. And imagine if you had two people on your live stream and they both are in the live at the same time, right? Let's say I had Tony and Adam Tao in a live stream like Adam did. You can go on his channel, Adam Tao, who's the designer of Mix Effects, the app that runs the ATEMs. It's a great app, iOS only. But in reality, on that stream, if you're having a conversation with two people, it's a lot more complicated with one person. So if you've already done that and then you do it with puppets, it really comes down to the character. And, you know, obviously as a ventriloquist, one's on each arm. So the most I ever had was two. I never had a third operator. But I got to tell you, one of my favorite absolute rides at Disneyland from the very beginning, shout out to the early Imagineers, was the Tiki Room. Because all of those parrots, and I've always had kind of a dream, and I may still do it. It's on my bucket list, and I've never solved it. And I am a bucket list kind of guy. But it was very expensive to create animated parrots that I also could operate. I mean, that technology has come so far, but in Disneyland, they're all programmed and all animated, and they sing, and they actually have totem poles that talk, and they have birds that sing, and they have sound effects, and they have lightning. And it is I mean, if you think about it from a set design, the Tiki Room at Disneyland, if you've never gone to it, you have to go to it, because it immerses you in the experience. And it may be a little old school now in technology and all that, but in its day, in its prime, when I was a young kid, it was incredible because it immerses you in that. So hopefully that answers your question, Tony. It's not as easy as it sounds, but I could have Grandpa Jones and Rudy on a set at the same time. Rudy is a puppet that I made I call him a rhododendron. He's not even anything like a rhododendron, but I just like the name Rudy the rhododendron. And most people don't know what rhododendrons look like, so they never called me on it. And he's in a pot, and it's a flower puppet that I ordered online that I incorporated into the pot, and my hand slips in there. And then Grandpa Jones, which I had an older puppet, I changed to a higher end puppet. Grandpa Jones, you know, his personality is very much developed. Rudy's personality is very much developed. I also had a bear called Benjamin C. Bear, which again was inspired by Disney, to be honest with you. Jungle Book was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I loved Baloo. I loved the interaction of Mowgli and Baloo and just the relationship. And so Ben was my Baloo. I didn't steal the name, so he was called Benjamin C. Bear. And he was one of my first puppets, and I did a lot with him in my earlier days. And I traveled professionally as a ventriloquist for about 7 months, and then I did lots of professional gigs, but I was full-time back east as a ventriloquist, and made a decision to come back to Washington from Pennsylvania. Long story how I got out there. And I even had a job offer on the table after I'd already bought my plane ticket to take over a television studio's children's program because they saw me on their channel. They interviewed me, and I was on live, and I did a set with my puppets back in those days. And before I left the set that day, they offered me a job, but I'd already committed to come home. Already had wheeled and dealed with my parents to get the money to buy the ticket, and I was going home to Washington. So I never went down that path. But anyway, that's enough about puppets ventriloquism. Let's talk about the HyperDeck. So I have the HyperDeck mini series here on the channel. One guy one time called me the HyperDeck guru. I don't think that necessarily fits. I just saw a hole on the web when it comes to the HyperDeck and how to use it. It's not a simple device. It's got lots of inputs. And then when they added the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus, which is kind of replacing the Mini because it has the alpha and key channel, or fill and key, lots of debate how to say what those two SDI outs are. And there's lots of things you have to consider to use a HyperDeck. So it's not for everybody. In fact, in reality, Blackmagic Design makes a 4K device that is a Thunderbolt that has the same outputs that you have on a HyperDeck. So you could plug that into a Thunderbolt port in your Mac or in your PC if it has Thunderbolt. you can come out of that. So you could use ProPresenter, you could use your PC software as your main streaming device, and then you can go out that if you're just trying to get lower third graphics. But if you're wanting to have a tool to play video and have it automated, push a macro button and it rolls the video. I have 2 HyperDecks now, so I'm going to be illustrating this probably next week. But I can have my Stinger come over me, right? Let me roll the Stinger here real quick so you guys can see it. Hit play in my macro.
I have no idea where I'm at.
Oh, what in the world just happened?
Something out of
That is
space?
not my Stinger. Sorry about that. Anyway, my Stinger's not working, my macro, but my Stinger can come across me and then I can cut to a video. The Stinger is a video, so I couldn't cut to another video with the Stinger, which is what I call them. It may not be right. Transition, right? It's an animated transition that cuts across the screen. I've played it before. I don't know why this isn't playing. So let me go in here and find out why. This is my Stinger. Let me roll this for you in my downstream key number 1. So I'm going to do this live. And in the macro, it turns off. So I can stop it halfway. This is playing, right? And it has sound, and it's playing through my HyperDeck. So if you want to have that kind of effect, and then if you want to cut to a video, so you want to go from a camera to a video, or from your PC screen to a video, then you would have to have 2 HyperDecks. And if you wanted to have a backup record, right, if you had an ATEM Mini and not an ATEM Mini Pro Iso, Extreme ISO, so it doesn't record, it doesn't have an encoder, so you want to go to a web presenter and be able to play video or be able to stream in graphics, you can use the HyperDeck as well, and then have the web presenter be the encoder and stream out to the internet, or you can just record to a HyperDeck. So ATEM Mini doesn't record, so you could use your HyperDeck as a recorder. So a lot of people are using them for ISO recording. So if you want to record every single camera in a high ProRes frame rate, if it has the kind of output that can do that, and you don't want to have any compression like in-camera compression, and you want to sync them all out, now you can time code network all of your HyperDeck Studios or HyperDeck Studio HD Pluses, the HyperDeck HD Mini and the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. They can be synced up. The difference between those new units is one is just a recorder and playback device. It doesn't do a key for animated graphics with transparencies. And this Stinger, guys, it has, turn this off back on again, this has transparency. It fades to black and unfades to black. So every time that rolls, it needs to be set as a pre-multiplied key in my downstream key, because that's what I'm using. And downstream keys are used because it covers everything. So I don't have to worry about it covering this camera, covering my graphic that's on the screen, because my downstream key is going to go over top of this upstream key. And we've talked about that on the channel before, and maybe we should do another live stream where we just talk about the keys. But again, HyperDeck is for anybody that wants to play graphics, lower third graphics, with transparency, because you can play them from your computer. So I have my desktop live again. I can cut to my desktop, cut to camera 2. So this is my desktop playing my face cam. And I could bring my desktop up, and I could also play a video from an app on my PC. I could even play it through tethered my iPhone. I can tether my iPhone right now through my Apple 4K, and then I could play a video from my iPhone. I could even pull up clips that I shot at this event, but it wouldn't be edited. It wouldn't have the Gaussian blur. I'd be putting people's faces up on the screen. So you do have some work to do. You got to take those videos from a Final Cut or Adobe Premiere or whatever you're using, if you're using Blackmagic design software, and you got to edit it. You got to get it ready, bring it into your HyperDeck and have it ready to play. But once those clips are on your disk, you have them there. So your lower third graphics that are animated, your stingers, whatever you want to call them. If you want an upper animated graphic, if you want to be able to transition between two videos with a stinger, or if you want to cut from one video directly to another video, you can do that with a second delay in one HyperDeck. But if you want to have them dissolve to each other and have one start one frame before the other one, then you have to have that. If you want to do slow-mo replay, you would have to have multiple HyperDecks. That's another use for HyperDecks. You can create macros. But again, someone that wants to have a HyperDeck in their studio is really, first of all, they want to be able to have control and automate and do all that through the ATEM control software. You also have Companion, and we're going to look at Companion in the weeks to come. And I'll show you how to create a button in Companion to run a video from your HyperDeck, which you can do that by using a regular Companion button. There's also presets already in there for using Companion with the ATEM, with mix effects. You can have the Companion control mix effects, so you can do all those really cool animated transitions in SuperSource. But there isn't any buttons so far in mix effects in Companion to control a mix effect controlling the HyperDeck, because that's not in the app yet. But again, macros will do that. So Companion can fire a macro, and that's all you need to run your HyperDeck. So if you're doing like an event center and you're using software and you're software based, the HyperDeck may not be the perfect tool for you, because you may be streaming cameras into your computer, right? And you can bring, if you're using like a Blackmagic card to bring in SDI or HDMI into your computer, you can bring the HyperDeck in that way too, right? You could bring it in. It also has an SDI or a USB-C out now that acts like a webcam. So if you bought the new HyperDecks, you can plug in the USB-C cable, and now you can play into that software as well, but you're not going to be able to do alpha graphics with a key, because it doesn't work that way. So again, if you want to be able to go into an ATEM hardware-based streaming, the HyperDeck's for you. If you want to play animated lower thirds in like an ATEM Mini Extreme or ISO, Extreme ISO, or any of the other or the HD decks, 4K decks, 8K decks by Blackmagic Design, the HyperDeck is for you as well. If you want to do ISO recording, right, every single camera, go into a HyperDeck as a main recording at that higher resolution, and then also come out of the HyperDeck and convert it down to an ATEM or whatever else for live streaming, which is a lot of people do as well. Now you can go back and have all of those ISO recordings inside the HyperDeck, because again, it will record the HD Plus, Studio HD Plus will record up to 30 frames per second, 4K, 422 ProRes. And that's really what a lot of people want when they go to edit. After they've done their live event, they want to edit clips, and they want a higher resolution where they can do better color correcting. And the HyperDeck's for you that as well. If you get the 4K version of the new HyperDecks, now you have even higher end codecs. They even have an H.265 codec that Blackmagic Design wrote. They have better codecs for H.264 as well available now, and they're really smaller file sizes than like some of the higher end ProRes file sizes. So you can get a lot on a disc and still have a quality recording when you get up to those 4K models that will do 60 frames per second, where my HD Plus does not do 60 frames per second recording. Now, when I'm just streaming HD, right, then the HyperDeck's perfect. The Mini that I did the series on before, that has a key channel, it's great. It will do up to 4K 30 frames per second. The big advantage of the new HyperDeck Studio HD Plus is the updates. It has the dark mode on the screen. It has HDMI out as well as HDMI in, which saves buying converters. So you could come right out of your Sony camera right into the back of the HyperDeck and still record 4K 30 frames per second, which I had to convert in my old HyperDeck Mini. And I had to buy a 4K converter. It's a 6G SDI to HDMI or HDMI to 6G SDI converter, and they're not cheap. It's like $140. I have it in the studio still because I can feed audio into my HyperDeck, and feeding audio into your HyperDeck is a whole nother conversation. So the HyperDeck is for anybody who wants to get outside of a PC and stream like through a ATEM. I think the HyperDeck's for you because it has a media player, but it only plays stills. And when you get into more expensive ME2s, then they have 90 frames available for you in a media player. So you could do a 3-second, 30 frames per second stinger, 3 seconds long, which is a little bit shorter than my stinger. I think my stinger that you guys saw is just over 3 seconds long. So again, the HyperDeck is a great tool. I know many of you listen to this channel and you've listened to some of my videos on the HyperDeck. So I hope that helps answer those questions. Let's look at the time. 5:30. We're almost out of time. And I want to take any questions, answer any questions so far I haven't on the HyperDeck and who it's for. But again, it is a device for live production. And so there's lots of churches using it, lots of concert venues, lots of places that do live streaming events remotely have HyperDecks. Some people have recorded to them and bought them to record from their ATEM Mini before it had recording in it, like I'm recording on my Extreme right now. And that disc has got still some space on it. And I'm recording every input. So I've got my face cam when I switch to it in my ATEM Mini Pro. I have my second camera, which is live right now. There it is. So all of those channels are recording. So when I'm all done, I could cut to that camera as much as I wanted to, even though I haven't cut to it live. And when I play something from my HyperDeck, it plays as well. So right now, my ATEM Extreme is recording a frozen HyperDeck 1, which is this one right here. I'll cut to it, and it's playing this clip right here. Oop, that's 5, sorry. So that was frozen this whole time like that and not playing. And because of that, that's what my ISO is recording, a frozen clip. And that records that clip in channel 4 and 5 because it's going to record whatever the alpha channel is and the key channel. And that does not have a transparency. So if I show you both of those channels right now, when I'm ISO recording, I get this and I also get this. And they look identical. Now that was a graphic, and let's find a graphic here. Let's hit stop. See if I can find a graphic. There's a graphic. That's not pre-multiplied. See if I have any pre-multiplied graphics on here. Yep, and this one is. So that's what you see on that channel. And then if you cut to 6, this is what you see. So you can actually see what I'm talking about when you have a pre-multiplied graphic. That's the part that's cut out in the background so that it looks crisp on the screen. So if you have a pre-multiplied graphic, you need that key channel, and that's available in the HyperDeck HD or Studio HD Plus and up. And it's also available in the old HyperDeck Mini and all the upper end models as well in the older version. So I hope that takes care of answering some of the questions tonight about who the HyperDeck's for. But if you're already trying to use ProPresenter and you're trying to get that into your live events and you're streaming from a computer, then you may want to consider having the ability to bring in the HyperDeck into your computer if you want to use a HyperDeck, and you still can use it with ProPresenter and all that stuff. But now you're trying to bring the HyperDeck into your computer. So you're going to take the fill and the key channel, and you're going to bring those into a card, and you're going to bring it into your Mac, or you're going to bring it into your PC, or you'll have to have a box if you're using like a MacBook Pro or something like that to stream your live events. Then you're going to have to get a small little box and put those cards in, and then you can get those cards from Blackmagic Design, and they have different sizes with multiple inputs. They even have a way to bring in HDMI only into your PC or your Mac. But again, you have to be able to get that into your PC or your Macintosh, and you'll either have to do that through one of the ports, or you'll have to do it inside a case, one way or the other. So, okay, so let's wrap this up by answering any of your questions that you may have still about the HyperDeck or live streaming remotely or set design or any comments that you want to have that other people are going to see and hear tonight. And I promise very soon I'll be putting comments on the screen. But right now I'm focusing on showing all these clips, and it's one more thing that I have to do, and I just haven't added it yet. So make sure you're reading the comments too. Okay, so what's behind the TV behind me? That's a Samsung TV, and it actually has the ability to play different things. So that's the spring. I can just do picture frames like this. And I can actually, I know you guys can't hear me very well. I can actually change what's in the background. So if I wanted to go with a black look or the theme, that's just got a moving design behind me, and I love that. It's the picture feature on these Samsung OLED TVs, QLEDs. I mean, I love that feature. I think it's really cool because I can use it. I can put my pictures up there, and it just looks like I have a picture hung on the wall. It's got a very thin bezel. It's made to look like a picture frame on the wall, and it's really cool. I have my lights pretty bright tonight, and I keep that pretty dim, so tonight it's not very bright, and that's because I brighten up the lights in the studio, and it helps bring the reds down. So anyway, so hopefully that answers that. Thank you for loving Ratso, Kevin. I'm glad you're here too, Kevin. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Yeah, I watched a newscast locally. The comment is from Tony from Quick Tech Solutions about horrible green screen in the bleed. I saw something last week. I think it was after we got back in town. I got back in town Tuesday night at like 6:30. We hit the house probably about 7:15, 7:30. That's why I missed the live that night. Couldn't get back in town in time, and definitely didn't want to be streaming from an airport. That would be horrible in my opinion compared to the Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge. But the green screen was horrible. She had green all over her. I looked at my wife and said, that's atrocious. And it's because they don't get far enough from the green screen. No one's trained them, and they're hurting for employees in these small TV stations. They don't pay very well, and it's really hard for them to get the video talent that they need in those studios where you go to the big stations, and then they have high-end cameras, high-end lighting, and their green screens look really, really well. Plus they have the software that keys it correctly, and you can't, it's really hard to key out the green spill. So FYI, that's a great comment, Tony. I'm a fan of Jeff too, Tony. Jeff Dunham is a great ventriloquist. He was a hero of mine over all of these years. Prior to that, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCartney. And if you've never Googled that and watched him perform, Charlie was a character that he grabbed from a street vendor who was working with a newspaper, calling out, and he walked by him every day and bought a newspaper, and he created Charlie McCarthy as a character from this person. So his inspiration for that character, where mine was Baloo, and Ratso was just, I always thought those type characters with big noses and big ears and edgy personality were great characters. That's why I developed the Ratso idea and had him made, just like Peanut was made by Jeff Dunham. You know, obviously those type inspirations, that's where Edgar Bergen got Charlie McCarthy from, and then Mortimer Snerd came from that same kind of inspiration in the culture that he was a part of. Charlie McCartney has a suit and a top hat, and so he kind of took him and cleaned him up and made him more acceptable character, evidently. So he took his idea from the street and made Charlie McCarthy more of a upper class character, I guess, so he could be a little bit edgy in dealing with Edgar, who is the straight guy, and Charlie is the character. You see that in actors. You had Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. You have all these different people, Laurel and Hardy. So a lot of times you have the straight guy in the comic, and that's really where ventriloquism plays out in the world of ventriloquists, is that you have these characters that can call you out, and people love that. They love it when they see the characters give Jeff a hard time or make fun of him when he messes up. So I've done that very thing in live events where I've messed up, because you got to cover it some way. So I might as well have my puppet heckle me. So the ventriloquist channel. Sorry, guys. Tony and I are vamping on ventriloquism. The Mevo I used for a while. That's a comment by, let's look back here, by Kevin Crawley. And I used the Mevo when it first came out. They have different versions of it. There's a lot of people selling it because they'll pay you commission for selling on your channel. I don't know how that works, but I got an ad, and I used the Mevo at my company I worked for. It's a great streaming tool. At one point, it was YouTube's official streaming tool, and I don't think it is anymore. And they've updated it, and now they have a newer version of that. Man, that's a great question. What was Benjamin C's Bear's middle name? Wow, inquiring minds want to know. What was his middle name? I don't remember. You have stumped the guy who made him. I think I just like the flow of it. I don't know if I ever came up with what C stood for. My dad's name was Craig, and so my son's middle name is Craig. So I don't remember if that was my motivation. I think I just liked the way it flowed. Benjamin Bear and Benjamin C. Bear just had more of a flow to it, and that's a lot of time when you pick a stage name, that's what you do. So you stumped me. If I remember it, I'll share it in a future video. And I don't know, maybe I need to do a live stream on just ventriloquism at some point. We'll see. You guys probably won't come, but I get that. Yeah, I want to show you not just how to do stuff in my videos. I also want to demo equipment. So doing the Stinger transition, going to a video, I've done it before here on the channel. I think I did it in my last live stream from the studio. I was set up then, but those are things that I want to show how the HyperDeck works. I want to talk about recording. You can see I still have disk space. I wouldn't have had any disk space if I hadn't deleted or moved some of those files to my backup drive. I'm even talking about backup drives, right? I use these, I think I have one. I use these SSDs because I can ask a client to buy one of these, a 500 to 1 terabyte, depending on what we're working on. If we're just working on social media, short videos, lots of photographs, then 500 would suffice. If it's a big project like my wife's podcast, I've already filled up and had to move files that we've saved. And I could clean up and get rid of some of the older footage, but I like to use it in the season finales. And you never know when there's something that I didn't put in the final edit that I want to go back to. So I hate throwing away footage. I have all the footage on my backup drive. So I use a spinning 10 terabyte backup drive. I can go mobile here real quick. Well, I'm not sure it's going to be quick. Let me know if you want to see my 10 terabyte backup drive. I have some other spinning drives that I've had for a while that I use just to move files to. They were both used in my recording studio. They have audio projects on them. And because they had extra space, I put not low risk files on there. So if the thing died, I might cry, I might not cry. But my 10 terabyte backup drive has a lot of stuff on it. And I have duplicates of all the stuff I can't afford to lose, like things I've written or original video edits, things like that. Or if I have a client that is on hold right now, I'm not currently working with them, I'll have it on their disk as well as a backup just in case I lose their disk. Or and I don't necessarily give them the disk when I'm done. They just have to buy it. I might use it to go to their location and transfer files. I'm not going to give my edits or my original ISO files and all that because I don't want them creating a project and someone thinks I created it. That's the biggest challenge in video production for people. A lot of people want to try to play with their files, and you got to make sure that whatever you negotiate going in, you make that very clear. Now, if it's a low profile client, I'm just teaching them and training them on how to do videos and how to get me information so I can teach them how to do social media better. Then I'd hand that disc for them because I don't really care. But if I'm doing a video project, a music video, or something that takes a lot of editing and it's got my name on it, my tag on it, then I don't want them to go back and edit it and people think it's my project later. So that's something that you discuss going into the relationship, that they're not going to get those files. They'll get a final project and approve that with whatever edits they need to make. And even that you need to set limits on if you're doing this full time. So anyway, any other comments or questions? Hopefully I'm not missing anything here. Benjamin C's name, we talked about that. I don't know if I will have Ratso on next week's video, if that's what you're asking, Kevin, or if you're talking about the HyperDeck. I will probably have some HyperDeck stuff in next week's live. Thank you for loving the clips. Tony says, yes, I'll be there. Hopefully that's cool. I'd love to find out if you've moved into your house yet, Tony. I know it's getting really soon. He's got a brand new studio. That's going to be fascinating. And maybe I can have you, once you get moved into your studio, maybe I can have you, Tony, on the live stream. That would be really cool. And you can give us a tour if you want to. If not, then you don't have to. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Are you using a Synology NAS as a backup drive? No, I don't have a Synology, though if you want to learn about those, you can go to Tony's channel. I've looked at those over the years. I know what they do. I wouldn't have any clue how to program it. I'd have to go to your channel and learn all that, watch your videos, and I probably would just have you help me and pay whatever it took to have you tutor me if I did that, Tony. But I do want to do a backup system in my studio, and that's what Synology is all about. And Tony teaches you that on Quick Tech Solutions. So if you want to learn about that, he does a great job on his channel, and that's where I would suggest that you go. And there's other guys that normally are on here, Conjoined Technologies. So you can go to those guys' channels and subscribe and learn about that. I'm going to be doing some research this week about set design. You know, who would have known we would have someone on the channel tonight live with us that has a father who was an Imagineer. So that's incredible. And if you don't know what Imagineer is, they're the guys who imagine all these sets and the walk-ins. And I mean, they're the ones that are doing all this, from set design to all the stuff that I showed you guys tonight. So if you want to know where the ambiance comes from, It's a Small World After All, and all of that stuff and all of the colors, now they are so good at creating these environments. And they also create this immersive thing happening when you walk in. So for me, when Indiana Jones ride started out and I got on it the first time, the experience of just going in was incredible. I have footage of the old truck they have outside. It's just incredible. So from the time you walk through the gate outside, you're immersed into an experience. And if you go to the new Galaxy's Edge, you're immersed with the X-Wing back there and Obi-Wan's speeder that they were in, I think episode, what is that? Episode, Anakin, second episode, so 2. They fly through the sky in this speeder. Lots of those things are there, and you get to experience it before you even walk in to the ride. So that's really cool to have 2 major rides, lightsaber creating, droid creating, all of those experiences, plus crazy food. I highly recommend Galaxy's Edge, you know, check it out. And you can find that in Disney World, Florida, as well as Disneyland, California, which is my favorite. So I think that covers it. Keith, for everyone, Synology or QNAP, which one is better from your point? So Freddie's asking you which one is better, and you said Synology. So cool. I would be a Synology fan as well. I think that's what I've settled on. I just need to get my first one. So again, and I spent a lot of money, guys, just so you know, in my last couple of years in the studio. And I've been really trying to put the brakes on that. And I do have a couple things I'm going to sell. So I'm going to probably use that money to get some other things on my list that I'll be bringing into my channel. I've already told you I'm probably going to sell my Canon 5D Mark III. I also have a Ronin S I rarely ever use. It's a great tool. I love it. I have a case I bought for it. I've used it a couple times. It's great for stable footage. It wins a lot of the competitions out there, or it ties with other gimbals, and they have a new SC version of it. I have the S, and I'm probably going to sell that as well. Still debating, and we may test it at the church locally because I already have one. So when they get the Blackmagic camera that they're going to get, we may use the DJI first before they order the one that they want to get, which is a different brand. So we'll see. So great. So you can ask either other questions in these live streams. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that little phone clip. That was in a sitting area next to the ice cream shop in the entrance to Disney on the main road in. There's a little ice cream place there. I went in there. They had some nostalgic pictures. They had an old phone that used to have to charge it up to use it, and I cut that clip in earlier tonight. I hope you enjoyed that clip as well. I said I have to go. I have to do a live stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed that tonight. And if you didn't see it, go back and rewatch right after the intro tonight, because that's when I rolled it before we went live. So, okay, so before we go, I want to give a shout out to those of you that have been here week after week after week. Some of you have sat in the lobby and been waiting for me to go live. Thank you so much for that. It does mean a lot to me. My channel is growing slowly. I haven't been doing a lot of upload videos. I have a lot of learning to do with the new HyperDeck, and I want to digest it before I train on it. So I've been spending lots of time in the studio with the new HyperDeck, with Companion, with Mix Effects, learning that stuff before I try to train on it. And the new video really has to do with automation. And so that's going to be video 4. So I hope you guys will check that out. Like them, share them. That helps them grow. They're out there. They're free. There's lots of time in them. I want to help other people. I hope that gets me subscribers, and I hope that gets me likes, but that's not my motivation. My motivation is to answer those questions and try to help people that are trying to figure out if a HyperDeck is right for them. Should they get a Mini, the old version? Should they get the new Mini HD version? Should they get the Plus version like I have? Why should they get the Plus version? All of those things, and then how to hook it up and use it. And there's a number of different ways to how to use a HyperDeck. So you can use it all the ways, but you can also just use it for playback or just ISO recording or just lower third animated graphics with a key, however you want to use it. So it is a great tool, and we'll talk more about that in that series. So thank you so much. Shout out to all of you ventriloquist fans. Shout out to Ratso for making an appearance tonight. Chewbacca for making a waving appearance tonight. Disneyland for the incredible imagination that they created in me and the impact they had in my life. It really did. I'm going to use this word. I apologize. Minister to. It's just a strong word. To my soul and my creative person by being there and immersing me in that. And I told Shannon I could spend a day just enjoying Galaxy's Edge without any pressure to ride a ride. I wish I had the budget to build a lightsaber because I'd have had it out tonight, but I just could not justify it over other things I need for my channel and my business, and a lightsaber is not one of them, but it's a cool light. So if you're looking for a light, and you can put different colors in it, I'd love to have an R2 unit, and I'd love to have the new Batmobile that one of the guys I follow online is making. It's a 1966 Batmobile that limited quantities. So I wish I could get it. It's like $1,700, but it is the coolest ever Batmobile that I've ever seen available to purchase. And I know a lot of you know I have history with Batman. One of my TV series growing up, he's my hero growing up as a kid. And my wife bought me this Batmobile and 2 other ones in the studio for Christmas. This is like $70, and it lights up. So there you go. I've never lit this up before on camera. And I actually had my Logitech on it, but I didn't fire up OBS to show that tonight. So and you know, this is one angle. I can have this in the background. If I cut to this other camera, I would light things quite a bit differently, which is another cool thing about having the Stream Deck is I can bring up this light I already have my hair light, which is my Godox 150, UL 150 right there. And then I would obviously bring this light down. Then I have it behind me. So I have the Batmobile and all those other things behind me. You can see I actually have my Logitech camera set up there, but I didn't have it live and cut to that because that time was in fixing my live streaming problem. And I think this is focused. Is it focused? Yeah, I think it's focused. So again, this is my EOS R. I rarely show this view in my live streams because I save this for other things that I do when I do them. I haven't been doing them in a long time. So this is another way to go. It's kind of a shot down my wall. It's very like Aaron Parecki's first desk setup was. He has 3 lights hanging down there now on his wall. And I like this shot because there's lots of depth. And I just moved the lamp over there that you see in the middle of this set back over here. I move that lamp normally in the corner when I'm doing this, and I'll put my MC lights up there. So again, another set, a different look. You got my PC in the background where you can see the stream. So that kind of stuff you can do with different camera angles, and the Batmobile is on that shelf because that's really cool. So I wanted to close with this, cut back to this camera. We'll fix our lighting here. Eyeballing that. I did come back with a souvenir. Surprise. It is my little Millennial Falcon. It's like 20 bucks. And I bought one for my future daughter-in-law. They're huge fans, and she has a shelf, and I wanted her to have one too, so I presented that to them. So I love this little Millennial Falcon, and it's sitting on my shelf as well. So with that, I'll say good night. I will have some more clips from other places in Disneyland in future videos. We've got the changes that happened in the Jungle Cruise. We're going to talk about that. Spider-Man may make an appearance from the Web Slinger, and you may even see, you never know, you may even see the new effect of Spider-Man flying through the air right here in a future video. And with that, I'm going to say good night. Thank you so much for joining me live tonight. I'm going to turn that that key off, and I'm going to hit my outro video right now, and we'll see you guys in the next video. And don't forget, my new HyperDeck video 4 is coming out later this week, so stay tuned for that. And again, Tony, if you're listening, I hope I get to hear some updates on your studio. I'm super excited because my son's building a house that will close in February now. It's delayed. And he's not building a studio, even though they're going to have an office in there. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in your studio. Freddie, you too, in your studio. And I'd love to see pictures of all your studios. If you want to text me or send me a link. If you have a video on your studio, I'd love to see what you guys do in your channels as well. So until next time, I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, and I'll see you next week.
One very cool ship.